Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. This time we'd like to call the meeting to order. And to do so, we will stand and have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, may we have a call to order and a roll call.
Chair Michael Wrench.
Present.
Secretary Jan Coonan. Chair Dave Bartles. Excused. Alderwoman Sherry Hademan.
Here.
Commissioner Mary Remington.
She's here somewhere.
She's here. Commissioner Karen Mawkey. Ex officio Michelle Rumty.
Here.
Kevin Schluter.
Here.
Marion X. Here. City Engineer Glenn Morrow. Wasn't he here?
Yes.
Okay. His stuff
He's
is
with
here.
Mary.
Dale Borchard.
Here. Fantastic. At this time, we'll jump ahead in the agenda to accommodate the people in the crowd. To the new business. First item of the new business, request by the City of Franklin Health Department to host the 2022 Spring Run in Lion Legend Park 1. Do we have someone here from the Health Department?
That's me, yes.
How you doing?
Good, how are you guys?
Fantastic.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lauren Gottlieb, and I work down the hall in the health department as a program manager. And I have a handout included in your packet, but the broad picture of it is the health department, in partnership with community organizations, are looking to host the 2022 2-mile run walk starting and ending in Lion Legend Park. I'm really aiming to highlight some park and feel that this area behind City Hall is becoming a hub for a lot of our programs. We're looking to gain recognition there as a city, but then also connect the community in a centralized location where everyone can come together and participate. That would be next month on Saturday, May 14th. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I saw that in the request. They were looking for help from DPW with barricades, restrooms. Is that a problem with you guys at all? Or no? Anybody have any other questions?
One, please. And I have to double check and look for something here because
Lauren, did you say her name was Gottlieb?
My last name?
Yeah.
Yes.
bear with me just a I guess never mind. My concern was that, and I'm fully in support of the event. I'm just looking back at the reservations. Because pickleball will also be reserved that Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And so there might need to be,
That's a 2.
on Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. to 11:30 that we approved at our last meeting.
Parking's
It is, the parking is what I'm getting at.
Oh,
Because there might be a lot of people coming for the walk that morning that would park over there. So I don't know that we can reserve parking, but just, let's have that as a communication that might be an issue. But that's the only thing I was trying to bring up. And I'm sorry I was getting my schedules between last meeting's request and this meeting's request mixed up. So I apologize for that. But otherwise, I'd be happy to make the motion to approve.
we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Excellent. Thank you.
Great, well, hope that you all can join us.
I'll be there.
Excellent.
you.
Thank you.
Coordinating.
We're approving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Approval of the spring sprint.
And Karen second.
Yes. Okay. Next item on the agenda. Request by the Franklin Community Education and Recreation Department to reserve the tennis courts at Lions Legend Park 2, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11:50 a.m. for youth tennis for spring and summer 2022 programs. June 13th through June 23rd, July 11th through July 21st, and August 1st through August 11th. I believe we have a letter from the rec department that they weren't able to attend.
Yep, so actually the gentleman that was organizing the pickleball has moved on to a new opportunity. Someone from the rec department said they would be able to join you at your next meeting to have kind of a broader conversation about coordination, but this is an outstanding request that they had meant to include in the previous request. I know that there's another agenda item for pickleball court reservation, so this is the current request. There's two requests before you this evening. Those are in red, and then the request that was approved at the previous meeting are in black on this schedule. So you can see that there's a request for pickleball courts at Lion Legend 2, and then a request for one tennis court, and that's what this item is. One tennis court for youth tennis. So I just want to make sure there's clarity about which facilities are requested. Because there's that overlap on Mondays and Wednesdays with the time, but otherwise there aren't conflicts.
I don't seem to have a problem with this anyway.
I'll move to approve.
Is it conflict, I'm not clear, is it conflicting on the request that I'm going to make for pickleball on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays?
This is for tennis
Okay, then.
on one court, so.
Are you going to use? No, well, is it the back two tennis courts or the one that's adjacent to the pickleball court?
It doesn't ask for a particular court in general, it just asks for one court.
Well, as long as it's youth orientated for kids, whatever, I'd be glad to relinquish any rights I would have to it if I obtain it. So if they want to supersede and use the tennis courts, that's fine with me.
So can Public Works remind me, there's pickleball courts and tennis courts?
There are 4 pickleball courts painted on the tennis court next to the permanent pickleball. Use temporary nets if there's more people than accommodate.
Okay. That's all that area offers. Okay.
So that's where there's 4 pickleball and then 1 tennis court?
But they're lined for pickleball.
The tennis court is?
Yes.
Okay.
And like I say, I will relinquish, if there's any tennis players on there, that's fine.
Yeah, so is, the schedule is behind you from 9 until 11:50 on Mondays and Wednesdays. There would be overlap based on the current.
Okay, well, we'll make do with the 4 courts. With the 4 pickleball courts. Because they can't play tennis on there anyway, because those are permanent nets.
And we had a motion.
And second?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Just one question. Did they ask for that particular court or any court?
They asked for the Lion Legend.
It asks for one of the Lions Legend tennis courts.
Legend 2.
On Schluter Parkway.
Yes. Well, actually, it's, what we have on the agenda is a little bit different than what we have on the email in the packet. Because they're saying on Schleter Parkway, Lions Legend tennis courts. Because that's why I was actually getting a little bit confused, because the youth tennis usually was on the 3 tennis courts back here by the band shell.
Okay.
So,
Just one note, those 3 courts are in pretty sad shape. There's big cracks in the house. I don't know if they're playable.
okay, because yeah, their email did not specify.
It's gonna be long.
They play.
Well, I think everybody should share.
Yeah, because they just say they need
Yeah.
1 court, so.
Fantastic. So we will move on to new business item C. Request by Sam Kriske, Franklin resident, to reserve pickleball courts at Lions Legend Park 2 for a group of senior citizens to continue their organized pickleball Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, April 15th through September 30th from 8 to noon.
That's me.
Fantastic. Does anybody have any issues or concerns? We had any complaints from anybody about not having public time in general?
I haven't gotten any data yet.
Well, it's designated as open organized, so anybody's welcome to join, anybody that's there, including, we've had, a lot younger kids that join us, and some of the older people enjoy playing against them.
Fantastic.
I just like to say Sam does a great job. Every time I go there, everything's in order and they're older.
Sure.
You never know.
Whoa, we better keep an eye on it. Then I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will jump back up to the citizen comment period. Any citizens who'd like to make a comment?
I would, Sue Lance, 4141 Maple Crest. Just that, I wanted to say I was up to the courts, and the cracks are a little worse on the pickleball courts. I don't know if you're gonna be flattening them, fixing, filling them in, or anything. I just wanted to, I don't know if you've been there, I was there last week, and noticed that some of them are getting a little bit big. I haven't been on those other tennis courts, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention. And then the other thing is, I see you have on the agenda park amenities donation policy. I have some money, not a lot, $225 left over that I wanted to give to parks towards anything towards pickleball. And that's on your agenda, and I didn't know what that really meant, if I could give that money. Donate that money from a picnic we had. It's from the pickleball.
Is there anything specific you'd like to purchase or donate towards the park?
Anything pickleball that they can use it for. It's not a lot, but if there's something you all think you could use it for. You want to hold it for, I wish I was a fundraiser. So,
You say 250?
225.
225.
Yeah.
Every little.
Well, can I give it to someone?
I'm not responsible.
I'm like, oh, she's got it with her.
I brought it with me. I've been hanging on to it for 6 months.
I think it has to be approved by council. Yes, it would have to be approved by council. think if it would just go directly to the treasurer's office.
I mean, we can't, I don't have a way to give you a receipt tonight, so I'm not comfortable accepting it.
Okay.
We would take it to council and get their approval to accept it from you.
And then I can
And
bring
then
it.
you would bring it in.
Okay.
I want to walk you over to the clerk's office. That's how it happens.
Okay.
Are you done?
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
Thanks,
Unless you want to shower us with
Thanks.
more money.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll jump on to the next agenda item, the approval. Yeah, sorry, we'll close down the citizen comment. We'll jump ahead to the approval of the meeting minutes from March 14th.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. At this time, we'll jump ahead to the item number 4, unfinished business. Thomas, right?
Yep.
Fantastic. We'll get to you in 1 minute. Do we have an update on parks maintenance?
Yeah, all the restrooms are open right now. Pickleball nets are all up. There are some tennis nets up. I've got a couple yet. Into something with the wet baseball fields getting rented. One's rented tonight. Somebody. Rentals are starting in the pavilions. They're going to be picking up a little bit more for the calendar. So we have everything in all the pavilions. We'll have to spread out some more picnic tables at the parks. That's about it, I think. Easter egg hunt is coming up on Saturdays. Get ready for that. Last year we put out some straw bales. Kind of scattered them, and that seemed to work out good for the kids. Eggs in there. So we'll try to do that if it's not raining real hard. Otherwise, we'll be able to do that. Yes.
I know there's stuffing 8,000.
Ooh. Wow.
I don't know.
How are you?
Just to mention, Sue Lance brought up the cracks on the pickleball courts. I caulked all of them in fall. I took a look at them after I heard that she said something. And, can't tell if the cracks actually got wider or the caulk let go on one of the edges when contracting with the cold weather. So I can't tell if the crack got wider or not, but if it did, it's a 30-second minute. So, but it's not much. Not much water got in there because I had them all sealed. So they're not a brand new court. And it's going to need working. So, there are some wider cracks that are sealed. Ball hits those cracks, kind of bounces funny and stuff like that. But that's what we have right now.
I mean, what are we gonna do about these? Is this like time to bring it up, or
We keep putting it in our budget, it keeps getting taken out, so.
that's what's going on?
One of the items in the capital budget last year, and we're starting that process again.
You know, in the past, we put some money in, but once we really start looking at it, it's not gonna, wasn't enough to satisfy. A lot more expensive. Trying to come up with that much money all at once or a little bit at a time, it's all tough to budget.
The new court was what, 100 to start over?
Minimum.
150,000.
And to reseal it, probably what, 1,005, that's in some spots.
Question is that really what you want to do?
Right, yeah.
So is that,
Some might be past that stage.
you know, when you, I mean, as an example, I'm not saying you shouldn't look at other things, but talk about things like new parkland. You got to find the money from somewhere. Those kinds of things that they, let's not do that. Let's add it to make it happen.
Yes.
What about Pleasant View? Or what are those courts utilized?
The tennis court,
Are those just primarily tennis courts?
well, the new ones get put in,
Okay.
and pickle,
Oh, okay.
heard that.
They're straight for pickleball.
I thought.
One is you net as a pickleball court, and the other side it has a court on each side that you. But at Pleasant View, the east court, it was built too low, and it's cracks all over the place on that one, and it's. Seems to be a on every corner.
So yeah, just to remind you that we did have a consultant come in and paid him $1,000 to go look at all, give us recommendations for everything.
Kevin, how are you guys doing with hiring a couple seasonal employees? Any luck or-
We're not gonna do any seasonals, we're gonna get rid of this. Interview.
Nice. Awesome.
Too many problems.
Yeah. Tough to find. Yes.
What about the court and bad shape too?
Those are actually the best ones in the city.
Well, some of those people that only need one court.
I always ask them if it matters.
Right.
Is that one utilized a lot?
No, not really. That one's got a parking.
Is there any way some is that? Yep.
I can let them know
Maybe
that,
they'd be happier.
Yeah.
yeah. That is a lot of use their location. So that's as part of that discussion, the rec department asked.
I guess we'll move on to item B, uniform signage for all parks.
You can probably take that off the agenda. They've been ordered.
Just waiting for it to warm up to themselves and stuff.
Well, you don't have the signs yet, right? They didn't deliver them to. They'll be coming soon. What's that?
Had to get them quick. A lot of chalk and silly string this year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and the city administrator did ask me about capital budget for that, so this is budgeted. I was interested to know that it's.
Yes. They are ordered.
We'll take a quick jump to C, park permit fees and deposits for rentals of pavilions and other facilities at all City of Franklin parks.
I think the clerk staff did look at it and stuff, and I got some corrections from them. So I made the corrections, but not on the minutes. I think we were gonna meet as a team at one point. And I just figured with the voting, they were still busy, so I didn't bother you guys. Yeah. So I didn't complete that part, but I did, Dale did a nice job with the map that I had presented and stuff. I made all the corrections and stuff, so I just made it black and white because I don't have a color at home. You guys want to look at it or whatever? Awesome. Yeah, sure, you can keep them. I did run off the back side because I'm not sure what you really want on it. I had a little cover page with it before, so it's all changeable and stuff like that. So I think we're getting closer. It was very helpful what they did, so I think his whole staff looked at it. So it looks nicer in color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hanging in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Nice to have it all together. I know, this is fantastic.
So if you still see something, just let me know. Happy to. They had me take off the rock because the rock wasn't a city-owned thing. I thought we had a part of it at, I don't know why I assumed that. I thought we, but,
The county owns the hill, Milwaukee County, but not.
okay, so I did eliminate by request. Although that is a nice first thing for people to come to, so I don't know.
I was talking to the clerk this afternoon. He mentioned that they are looking forward to this, and the fact that picnic tables and benches, they get a lot of phone calls. You know, how many picnic tables are at this pavilion? Benches are at that pavilion. So I don't know if it's a big deal if you fill in how many tables or seating capacity or something like that.
Right. Well, I am working on that other project, which is a more detailed thing of all the parks and stuff, and that's intended to go online also. What I was waiting for is spring to come so I can take some nice pictures and check it out myself, and I can kind of take pictures of how it's already set up and stuff. And it's a really nice detailed thing. So I'm actually looking forward to going there and doing that. I might need someone to let me in the facilities to take pictures. So I just call someone.
Yeah, just call us.
Okay. All right. Because that will be a nice little more detailed on exactly what's there and stuff like that.
I would also suggest Franklin Woods could get a little dog paw by it because we have dog stations there.
Yeah, they suggested that from DPW or whatever, and I don't know which ones are, so I actually sent a little form to them to fill out.
Okay.
The other part that I was looking for were how many miles the trails were and stuff like that, because I don't know that, and I kind of say someplace how many miles that there are there in Franklin, but I don't know what they are. So at least if they're a quarter mile or a half a mile, or I know there's a real long one.
I think I got that somewhere, but
Yeah.
some of the stuff that's on the website, I don't know, someone came up with all that data, the mileage and the acreage, and I have a lot of way different numbers that's on there, so I don't know if that's...
Well, maybe fill out that little form then, if you saw this form. Did you see a little form like this that I sent? Okay, great. Yeah, I can send it to you then. And then I asked which one parks have the dog park stations and stuff like that, because I don't. So it would be official then. Yay, this has a dog park. So, but those were really good suggestions too. That's why I put that little logo on there and stuff. Make it simple.
Pretty much all the parks have dogs.
Oh, that's
if there is
really
one,
cool.
small one that doesn't.
Yeah, and I think I did a little description on there. I don't have one myself. I gave them all. About the dogs.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's true or not because I made it up. I took it. So you just take out what isn't true and what I would think they'd have to be on a leash. I would think that.
It all sounds good.
I try to keep it brief and to the point. So, yeah, so little things like that. But I think that was a very good idea. Good suggestion. But that's it then. If we can figure out the mileage and stuff like that, then
That's awesome.
good thing. So there's a couple of little details that we can work on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, looks really nice.
No, it is.
Well done.
It'll be neat when
Yeah.
it's up. When you,
Yeah.
especially when you see it on the screen and you can blow it up and go, "Oh, look at this! I didn't know they had this."
Must have a
Very
lot
nice.
of hours in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, it's good. I'm okay. I was bored. So.
You do a lot of nice work when you're bored.
Well, it's something. Well,
Very nice.
Like I said, it was in the process of learning about the parks myself, and if I couldn't find any of these things, no one else is going to find them, and they're there for a reason for people to use them. So I would want people to use.
One comment from discussion that I had with the rec department was that it would be in the detailed brochure, it would be awesome to just include a little bit of information about their rental process. So they're going to share that with, because Franklin residents have access to all facilities with some limitations, but they're free for facilities.
Awesome, we can
So-
include it right with everything else then, yay.
Yeah. So,
Well, the other people that I would like to know about too, like those historical buildings that are in Lions Legend Park, I think the Historical Society rents them, correct? I have no information on that. So that
Okay.
would be another thing that would be nice.
they're meeting in the other room right now.
Oh, yeah. They don't even know who I am, so. So that would be a nice little thing to put in there that you can rent
The
that.
gentleman's name is Jim Lucky, and he will tell you
Okay.
everything you want to know.
Okay. No, I'm really good with that. I think people should know these things. And then the other thing too that like I think there was other things in there that like these like tennis courts and stuff like that. Do we rent those out also obviously and stuff? There's a procedure for that.
Some facilities are rentable, so like individually reserve a baseball diamond, but then there's actually not like a reservation process for one use of the tennis courts. It's this body is
So when you guys take these reservations, is there a map, a schedule someplace that?
Well, the
So
rec
that's-
department would have.
the rec department has
But they
their
don't
own
wanna do the
schedule that they
city
publish.
stuff, right.
Yeah. I have asked to have a coordinated calendar, try to prioritize, have a calendar. Now there's like,
Great. Well, not that it has to be public, even just for us, you know, like.
yeah, that would be nice.
The clerk's office just kind of writes it in pencil on a calendar, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably.
Probably.
Yeah, I was gonna just suggest that
There's
too.
so many things that you could do.
Karen's, her brain's turning.
Yeah, I'm already thinking about that. Although I have a Mac and they have.
We have some restrictions related to,
Calendars.
well, yeah, to like sharing. I can't use Google. But it is worth exploring.
Right, because now that you're growing in parks and stuff like that, you're gonna start needing these things. You're gonna have a lot of conflicts on the way here. Yeah, well, like the pickleball and the tennis courts there, and they all want the same day. They all want.
I know they purposely don't make that public.
No, it shouldn't be public. It should be in-house. But then who would manage it?
So I just have a quick question here. It says the following city parks may be rented. So I read that as all 38 are rentable.
Oh, the one
Right.
down in that first row. Yeah.
Oh,
They're
okay.
marking purple.
Oh, I see. So it's color coded.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
color-coded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Color does help, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
That makes sense now.
And I think when I do the extended form, it'll be more explaining everything. It just focuses on these parks
Right.
that are rentable.
We'll jump ahead here with Thomas waiting patiently to letter G. Request by Thomas Wilby to install birdhouses in Ernie Lake Park, located at 8000 South Chapel Hill Drive. I believe when you were here the last time, you had talked about how you had constructed a few birdhouses, and had to put a couple up, and DPW had taken them down. How many have you constructed already?
Well, there's 3 trees that line the park, fairly young. To say they line the path. They're right out in the open. 2 of them is where I had found the last. I guess if I had permission, I'd probably put one on each of those 3 trees. That's where the people get out of them. Birds or whatever.
I mean, one of the things we're going to jump into later is an amenities donation policy. And one of the challenges that we're running across is a lack of uniformity with building materials and extra work put on DPW. Like once it's up, it's on, becomes city property. It's in a park. And that's a challenge that we're having right now with some of the other things with little free libraries, other things that we've allowed. So that's kind of the challenge that we're running into right now. We seem to be improving things one-off here and there, but at the same time, we don't have consistency in building materials and plans and those kind of things. So part of this that we're going to look at in a little bit is, would this be considered like an art installation or scouting project? What type of material is it constructed of? Is this something that's going to last, 5 to 10 years, or is this something that only going to last for one, along those lines? So, could you remind us what were they constructed out of?
They're constructed out of plain pine. So the first ones I put up on our property are just like new. It depends. One of the things that birds do is they'll chew up the hole to make it bigger.
Right.
So there are occasions where I've seen that happen. And I just replace it in front of the bird. But as far as rotting and falling apart, probably get 3 to 5 years.
Sure. They would. Oh, go ahead, Mary.
I walked past it. They do all look new. They look really nice. Right, along the walkway on the condo side. A couple more in the park, I think.
How do you feel about it?
And if DPW wants to ignore them, if you approve them and they want to ignore them, that's fine. I go out with a ladder, bring in the fall, and I'll clean them out. And you can place that. Because official, I'll do it.
Would these be considered a donation to the Parks Department?
Sure.
Is there paperwork or anything along those lines? Or is that something that, if we were going to look to make these as a donation, we want to have different materials for the construction?
We were discussing, there is a policy we just had 10 minutes ago about things being donated.
Mm-hmm.
Really, birdhouse.
No, I agree.
No offense to birdhouse.
Well, I also think, because you had mentioned that you take a ladder, you're on city property and stuff, so what happens if you fall off this ladder and you get injured? Like, I'm just talking liabilities and stuff. I'm just putting it.
Yes, Steph.
Mary, can you hold the property? That's exactly where it comes from.
So as DPW, why did you take them down the first time?
Nobody contacted.
Oh, okay, so he didn't have
knowledge of 'em.
permission? Okay.
And there's none up now then? Or you said there was some?
They're on private property.
On private property.
For everyone.
They are used too.
Mm-hmm.
They are. I have several over along the trail that Payless Playground too, you know.
Who put them up?
That was a Boy Scout project several years ago. And they were, I have to stop and look if they still are, but they were kind of labeled with the type of houses they were, type of birds they were particularly built for, like a bluebird or whatever. I do think it's a nice amenity. I mean, and that's just a personal thing. I don't find it particularly distracting
No, I like it.
in that environment.
I like the whole
It's
The sliver, that's the apartments actually, property, the trails on there.
Want to go up? I'm sorry. You want to bring it? And then a little over. So there's 3 trees right about here, right in a row on the path.
Bring it down, Marion, if you can.
North or south?
You gotta see up further. It's up here. Yeah. See these trees here? This is one of them right here.
okay.
There's one, there is a,
Down?
It could be underneath that number, but
yeah,
this sliver right here, this is the apartments. This is the condos. Yeah.
Okay.
We're looking to install birdhouse on a couple of those that you maintain and take care of. And if any challenges, issues, just them if they have the manpower. Is that kind of where we're looking at, or is this?
if they do what?
If there's any issues with them where they become vandalized or damaged.
No, I mean, like I said, I would donate them. I don't mind maintaining them, but I'm not going to claim their mine. Claim it.
Sure.
Make the birds pay rent.
And they're only about, speaking to the liability, when I say bring out a ladder, I'm not raising, I raise them up just high enough so pull them down. They're only probably 7 feet up.
I make a motion, we go for it. But
For a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Hi.
I'll be checking them out.
Thank you. I'll make sure they're maintained and environmentally friendly. I don't use nails in the tree or anything like that.
I didn't hear all the ayes. Did everybody?
Oh,
Yeah, we're
fine.
good.
We can call.
You take roll call if you
The ayes have
ask for no other abstention.
Any no's? No's?
it. Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for all
Sarah.
you do.
The next item on the agenda that we will tackle would be, while we're speaking of amenities, I guess we'll do E, park amenities donation policy.
Sherry, did you write those out the first time?
I did.
Okay.
And I kind of threw everything at it. And what I did is some research and kind of took general similarities from what different park districts were doing and what I thought would apply to Franklin. I don't know that we've ever had a tree donation program, but I put it in there, something we wanted to consider.
Have we ever had trees donated?
I think so.
There have also been trees pieces is that correct? Or?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So in a development, there's environmental impacts that, where they remove trees, the developer is then required to provide mitigation, meaning they replace trees either on the property or elsewhere, and in some cases, trees aren't.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, and I don't know if we need a policy for trees or not. If just someone wants to donate a tree, and if he just goes out and plants it, it's fine.
I would
You
think
know,
the
it's-
only concern about tree donations is you may get some people who want a specific species that you may not want in your park, whether it's something or not.
Cottonwood.
Yeah.
So the city has a list of prohibited trees, which is very short. But then the city forester is actually currently working on, working under a grant. One might know more about, but the environmental list with them, so you could refer to approved tree list.
Okay. Okay, so I took her information and I redid some stuff. I'll show you what I did here. Pass that down. Here, I think I have a copy for myself this time.
You worked your magic?
Yes, I did on it.
Love it.
So with this, my question was, with this, are we encouraging people to do this, or are we just saying people come here and they say, well, they want to donate a tree? Just put it out there.
Well, I think
so
that's
are we promoting it?
The question.
Yes.
That's the question.
That's the question. So this would be if you're promoting it. Now, I also added a few things to your stuff that you did. I did monetary gifts, which that lady just pointed out. She had money that she wanted to give us, and we didn't know what to do with it. I did create a little form, just check it over, just check it out. So I took your information and put it all together, and kind of did what I do, and then I made the form to go with it, so if they want to donate it. Now, I noticed, because I looked up to see what other communities were doing also with their tree donations. So if we have a new park, let's say the Pleasant View Park, there's not a lot of trees there. And I heard you have a city forester. Does he do a map like this that says what kind of trees are there?
We have an inventory of street trees, but I don't think we've inventoried.
Okay, so if you have a city forester and you're going to put trees in a park, you can sell these trees and you give them the credit by putting their name on what tree they bought. They're numbered and stuff. This is kind of a neat idea. And this is from Waukesha. This is from their Legacy Forest thing. So it's kind of a neat thing. So if you're setting up your park and you have this trail, and you can do sections at a time, or whatever, if you're doing whatever neighborhood you get people, you can say, hey, we have trees available in this park, and they can see what they are, and they can purchase them that way. Doesn't this all make sense? I was like, I love this idea. So we'd have to, I'm sure they have something like this already going. Those guys, now they hate me. but this is like a cool thing. Then you know what trees are there, what trees. Yeah, you're like taking inventory and you have the name of the people who bought the tree and stuff like that. This is like an awesome idea. So that kind of goes all together as a package.
There is, for Pleasant View Park, there is a landscape plan that includes new trees. The city forester does have like a general idea of what canopy could have, but not the.
Right. So this just takes it the next step further, and you're kind of numbering them, and you're giving them, what's available. Isn't this cool?
I love this application. So what happens with
Here,
this?
you want to see?
If someone
I only have
wants
a
to do
couple of
this-
these. You want to?
What is it called?
What is what called?
This.
It's like a landscaper or a forester would do it. It's like a tree plan, like what you're putting in the park, and you can promote these online or in your city little paper and say, hey, we have trees that are available that if you're looking to call them a legacy tree is what I call them. Kind of like what, isn't that cool? Like it's a little more detailed, but it's there. And then you can hang these in the city hall here or online. You can put it online, who bought the tree, stuff like that. That's how.
To do a bench, they have to be done. To do a tree, they don't have to be done.
I don't know.
Did you say dead?
Yeah. Yeah, it said they had to be dead for at least a year
Yeah.
for a bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary.
We may get more trees than we really want.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was
We
just gonna say,
could.
do we need
We
trees?
could.
Well,
I always
and
say no.
did we say too, like there was that one person and he mentioned to put a plaque on a bench? Do
Yes.
we have that many benches? Like, yes, we do. Like you weren't real fond of that or something at one time.
Well, depends how many benches we're gonna get. I mean, right now, we're kind of redoing some of our older benches, adding a few more.
Right.
But
Well, we could almost do that like the trees then. We could say what benches are available and stuff and but I know this is a lot of work. Sorry. And it's not even that it's something that I could lay it out is if I had the things that you guys what they because it's more of a real simple general.
So if somebody did this, filled out this application, would the application be submitted to this commission?
It's all up to you guys. It could go right to the city treasurer because money coming in, and then it could be sent to some place else that handles it. I don't know how this works.
Approve the,
I believe Glenn said it earlier, we don't want to go running into city council with every donation.
Right, we don't, right, with a two, so you could have the city treasurer set up an account just for donations and stuff like that. And that would be an ongoing.
I don't know that we talk about it in our code, but it might be nice if this commission just a common council that the donation under like a dollar amount would not have to go through them, something like that.
like 1,000? Yes.
1,000?
And maybe make that policy. I have a question in my mind as to imagine common council, you would also adopt the donation
Right.
policy, so.
Well, that,
you
yeah,
can
that
make
would
me
be a given,
recommendation.
right.
Yeah.
Right, because right now it looks like, what is a bench run for the slab about? We're taking
Around
1,000? Yeah. I think that's a good starting point there.
In terms of the monetary gifts and whatnot, planned legacy, probably not something we have the ability to do.
Okay. I just put it out there. I saw it and I thought.
And again, with corporate sponsorship, well,
So I will, with some experience in fundraising, a legacy gift is a gift that's
Right.
made through someone's will. There aren't like additional tax obligations on their side, so we would want to check with the city attorney, but since it's not really that different question.
okay.
So it's not something we have the capacity or track.
Right, that's kind of where I'm thinking.
Because sometimes it could even be land. It could be
Right.
a lot
Well,
of
indeed,
Mhm.
and donation.
So I'm just putting it out there. Like, if you don't try, someone could say, we love Franklin and we want to give this land to Franklin. Here you go. Here's at least. I know you guys must hate me. Like,
No!
'cause I'm like, I'm
No,
putting
I mean,
things
I
out
love
here
that
I'm
you
just
ran
like,
with
Oh my
this.
goodness. You know. Well, you did too. You did some policies, but I didn't know how you wanted to use these.
This is bare bones.
Yes. Yes.
Just trying to get the ball rolling. I think this,
Yeah.
I mean, it begs a broader question of how is this driving policy for and
Right.
stuff staff has to do.
Mhm.
But this is all great because actually it does apply.
We want to make a motion to send this to council.
I
Just
would-
that one part.
Yeah.
I would do it at 2, because what if someone wants to do 2 trees or something? Or,
They fill a separate application for
Right.
each one.
right.
I would like these applications to come to, we know where these benches are.
Yeah. Because to the point, I don't know that council necessarily wants to see every individual bench that's, coming through or being.
Right.
Well, it begs the question, does this commission want to see an individual bench?
We probably
don't-
should,
I
so
think
we can
Yeah.
get the approval from DPW.
Yeah. I would agree.
And for $1,000, I don't think there would be that many that would be coming before us.
Yeah.
No.
You might
Right,
be
but is it something
surprised.
that Public Works can maybe have you set some recommended locations ahead of time, even?
I think to start with, maybe we see how this goes individually for 4 or 5 months, and if we get a lot of them, we can revisit where we're at. If we're sitting at like one a meeting, I think it's okay. If we're looking at
That may be-
nobody wants to be here till 11. One's got things.
Right.
So
Well, I'm gonna be the first one. Because, they're putting up a flag in St. Martin's. And my grandmother, raised and lowered the flag for 18 years in St. Martin's. And my brother and I are gonna put that plaque up. If the commission will approve it.
You'll have to recuse yourself.
Now,
Oh.
so the other thing that I did include in here, because we have a lot of those scout projects coming through. And you remember how I kind of mentioned a wish list of some sort? So I made one up just for fun. You can just remove whatever you want, or we wouldn't have to do a wish list, but if you kind of give them an idea of what you would like to see, kind of. So I have some weird stuff in there that did it grab your attention, because if they're, especially like some of those little courts and stuff, like bocce ball courts would be awesome. I've seen those in other parks and stuff. It's kind of they can bring their own balls and stuff like that. But if you have the court, then it gives them something to do. There's like things that I know you guys are gonna hate me. I know, but at least their ideas and their suggestions that maybe they would still have to come and present those ideas and still turn it down or not put them in there at all. This isn't anything that's permanent. All can be scratched out. No, do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that would be a different form then, and they would have to come with their little packet then, form attached to it and presented. I kind of say I took a little bit what she had, the process of it, and I know you guys are.
I'd like to look at it.
Yeah, and take notes then on it and stuff like that, because just my little brain and stuff. I like to put things out there.
Can you email this to me so I can circulate it?
I think I actually did.
Did you?
It might have came from Jeff. It says Jeff Malecki,
Okay.
because I work, that's like our work one. I just use his stuff, so it might just say Jeff Malecki.
Did we say we were gonna make a motion?
No, this
Or
is
was
just
this
a
all
look.
discussion?
it's all
Well,
discussion.
yes.
I guess a couple of questions that I would like to answer, yes or no, before we move forward, with really finessing this literature, because it kind of popped up at the last meeting, do we want other unique amenities in the parks? Are we already overdone with that?
That's my question. With some of the amenities that come in, there has to be some type of element set aside. Personal experience, there's some bocce courts that are in Milwaukee County parks. They have to be maintained and mowed at certain heights. Usable and playable. The city doesn't have that type of equipment because you guys don't have a golf course. So some of those things are, I think they're great ideas. Have to the way we're currently set up. I don't know if we can call them. I know these guys are struggling with the basics, and that's kind of where we're at. I think there's different ideas looks at, but financial depends on the challenge. It'll be great for 2 years, and then after that, Dale's gonna be the bad guy and throw in the garbage.
Well, I've seen bocce ball courts with that fake grass in those are kind of cool, like not maintenance in there at all.
Nice. I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah, those are, my mom actually has them at Tudor Oaks there. They're, yeah.
I'm actually thinking more along the lines of, let's say here in Franklin, we have like a graduate of Franklin High School is, let's say, an up-and-coming world-famous artist or sculptor, and someone would like to place one of their sculptures in one of our parks. Is that something we would even want to ever consider? You know, do we want to open those doors? I'm not saying one way or the other right now. I'm just putting this out there for thought, you know, because that could be another unique amenity. That, yes, very much could expand, you know, the artistic landscape of the community. I don't know. You know, it's something that could probably be valued, you know, like say $50,000. We have a great donor who wants to put this great sculpture in Lions Legend Park. I mean, obviously that's something that level would have to go to council.
Yeah, like at Greenfield in front of the library, we had a donation for a fountain. It went by the library because it can be seen and stuff, you know, like and people can watch it more and stuff like that. So that worked out really nice there, like different things like that. So it's not just a sculpture. They put in a sculpture there too. Sometimes you can work with your library. They're more willing to take sculptures up by them. So we have like this whole area that we can touch.
You'd have to address.
Right, I think so, yes.
Yeah, so to
definitely
that
would.
end, not that you're putting it out there saying, hey, somebody donate really cool stuff to our parks, but it may be important that we do at least have guidelines of a policy in place for some sort of process to follow.
Right.
Because as we grow, it may very well may happen.
Absolutely. I'm sure as there's more trails that pop up, there'll be exercising that might be wanted.
Right.
Right. Well, you can just look it over and I will send it. It is in colors. It's just black and white, so it's not pretty. But it looks nice in color.
Thank you so much for making it.
So and I apologize to DPW. It's a little bit, but if we can get on it now with some of this stuff
But
before.
I do think that having a policy in place for whatever could pop up, I think it just makes it easier on us.
Right.
As a commission moving forward.
To actually
rather-
say no.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And to be able to approach each request with some level of equity and how we're adjudicating it, I guess.
Right. Well, and then like a lot of stuff is that your little park over there, like they could go to, but it has so much stuff. They all want to put it all over there, but there's other parks like.
Well, once this gets out, people will say, oh, I didn't know we had 20 parks.
That's
You know?
maybe they don't know.
I've lived here 35 years. Until I came on this commission, I had no idea half these parks.
But to the point, you know, like with Pleasant View Park, if there is a landscape plan and there are some of these approved trees to be put there, it might not be a bad thing to say, hey, would anybody want to buy that and dedicate that tree?
Yes, that's
and sort of that's reduces our municipal budget a little bit
That's exactly what it's supposed to
on
do.
that account.
Could we have this money go to the tennis courts? Making new tennis courts? No, I'm kidding, but.
Well,
Not, I mean, I'm saying, could the money be dedicated to some special, if it was hitting an account? Can it be
there's,
designated?
what works well too is if you have a project like that and you do fundraising, go to the businesses and you have naming rights to that tennis court. Sometimes that works. You guys, do you know what I'm talking about? So let's say that group there, they want to go fundraise for it, or we can help them. They can try to get that money. Ooh, bless you. So there's different ways of doing things. It's not like the city always has to put out their money for it. We have lots of businesses in Greenfield, or in Franklin, I'm sorry. I don't know where I am anymore. But that's how you
It's
get
kind of like
business
we get
involved.
sponsors for the 4th of July
Right.
celebration.
Right.
I mean, this is an awesome start, too.
Yeah, I
Get
think
it rolling.
that it's going to take a meeting or 2 or 3
So that's
to
kind of like with that
tease it
corporate giving, that's kind of what
Yeah.
that is intended for, so that you can give towards a project. That's another wish list, that we're looking for people to do this. And you give them naming rights on that court. Oh, look at her little head spinning there. She's like, that sounds like a lot of work, but it is a lot of work, but.
Well, so just in terms of, we don't currently have a finance director, but it is something that could be done to create a line and then have that be part of the Parks Council budget. But then how all of that fits together, because the part of my head that's spinning is that if we're using impact fees for things, presumably this would reduce the overall project cost and the amount of impact fees eligible. But that's
So, you're right, if you let them know what your projects are, I'm sure you'll be getting some.
it's something that I think I have routed this to W, the document that you gave us, and I would like to run past the city administrator. So she's the interim finance director. Not sure how that works.
Right.
Yeah.
I think on the one that I did send you though, on the legacy donation, I had the wrong amount on there. So I'll just send you a new one. So it'll just be coming under Jeff then.
Okay.
Because I saw it and I went, oh, the wrong amount. But on ours, I think they're correct. On the ones you have here, they're correct. We could probably even increase them a little bit. Desired. You don't have to exactly say how much it costs.
It also begs the question, as we go through, folks may be aware that the city is currently rewriting the development ordinance. And part of that discussion will be mitigation and landscaping requirements across the board. Development, and one of the things that the Environmental Commission is interested in doing is encouraging mitigation to occur in City Park. They haven't had a chance to arrive at a place where it's appropriate to bring that to effectively a donation of either natural resource restoration or parks. And part of that
So
discussion.
this
is
is
a
all
policy-
tying it together.
Yeah,
Right.
so that policy process, like, I would suggest that we need to address it now, but they have an interest.
Beautiful. I think I'm done.
Excellent. We'll move on into
Okay.
item D, which is the 2022 budget, Parks Commission request for information on personnel additions, capital outlay fund needs, equipment revolving fund needs, street improvement fund needs, and major capital expenditures to be made with borrowed funds.
I do not recall if there was a specific item, so previously we discussed the ice that Glenn was making a decision about. And then also I did want to leave this on the agenda to start to consider what your requests for 2023 will be. So the park impact fee material that you were provided at your last meeting is a reflection of your capital request for 2022. And we should start thinking about what you want to ask for in 2020. So that's me on that item, but there's other updates from other folks.
Is there anything in particular DPW would like for 2023?
I haven't even started to think about it yet.
Sure.
More
Yes.
staff?
Question is, so tennis courts, pickleball courts and so forth, I mean, realistic that we do want to get funds on courts.
For maintenance, right?
Well,
Replacement.
replacement. So if it is, we'll get in, start looking at some, maybe go make some trips and look at some courts. There's different ways to fix it if you recall the presentation we made several months ago. So if that's an interest, then we need to get on that. But like I said, hopefully we'll get one through this budget.
Along those lines, not tennis courts, but what is the thought on the timeline for the replacement of the flooring at Kayla's Playground?
That was another one that was on the budget.
So that was
last
about
year, so that's
250 grand, wasn't it?
I believe so. I guess have the discussion too, and Dale and I, maybe Kevin, to go take a trip and look at some of them, because we did talk to some folks that talked about the artificial turf. You know, especially since you don't have like a lot of hills and other things in there, you know, maybe a short artificial turf. We talked to a contractor where he would just glue it down on top of what's there. You know, if you've already got your, you know, your bounciness in the rubber, no, really maybe no need to tear it up. Still in fairly decent shape. I mean, the top is kind of crumbly, but maybe it might work. But we need to say for sure we should talk in samples.
My only concern about that is mobility. With the port in place, have a high or something.
You know, stop by my office. Yeah, there's all different heights and looked at it. So, and again, that would be a question to look at. They say it works just fine for wheelchairs, but
Well, for
Don't
older
know.
adult grandparents that have mobility, they are all accessible. And
maybe we'll invite you to come with us.
Sure,
look at that.
yeah. I just wouldn't want to inhibit that.
Sure.
It
Almost definitely.
advertises that and
Most definitely.
Excellent. I guess we'll move on to letter F. Recommendation of the Common Council to pursue the purchase of parkland adjacent to the western boundary of the Franklin Savannah State Natural Area on West Oak. Parks Commission may enter a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute for market competition and bargaining reasons to consider the potential acquisition of property to be used for the public park purposes in the city, to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act on such matters discussed therein as it deems appropriate.
Commission want to enter closed session. So this item was, you made a recommendation to Common Council at your last meeting to explore the possibility of purchasing parkland adjacent to the Franklin Savannah. The council action sheet for that request was put forward as a closed session item and discussed as a closed session item in council. So staff's recommendation would be that you discuss it as a closed session. Alderman Barber is.
Are we able to share the closed session discussion within a closed session here with?
You received direction about that from. I was told to follow your lead. So.
Oh, okay, got it. I would look to Alderman Barber for a backup, but my belief is there's not really anything here at this point.
Was there a motion out of the closed session?
For staff to proceed as directed. Closed session.
I thought. I recall it.
then I will move to enter closed session.
I'll second it. All in favor?
I will need a roll call.
Yes. Mary Hanneman,
Yes.
Mary Remington, Karen Markey.
Go to letter H, proposal to purchase property located at 9530 West Loomis Road, approximately 9600 West Loomis Road. Parks Commission may enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute, market competition and bargaining reasons to consider the potential acquisition of property to be used for the public park purposes in the city, and to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act on such matters discussed therein as it deems appropriate.
I move to enter closed session.
We'll have to take a roll call.
Mayor Mike Wrench,
Yes.
Mary Jane Luna, yes. Alderwoman Sherry Hanneman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mary Remington,
Yes.
Karen Markey. Yes. Looking at the time. Who seconded that, Mary? Alden, move to closed session. Yeah. Closed session?
I guess we're gonna turn it back on and say we're leaving.
Yeah. Are we done?
Yeah.
Oh,
Next meeting date is May 9th.
Wait, your minutes. Did you approve the minutes?
Oh yeah, we did that.
You did do that?
Yes.
Excellent.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Next meeting date is May 9th.
Mother's Day.
Excellent. At this time, we'll adjourn. See everybody in a month. We need a motion for that.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody.